No, 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 no.
I am such an awesome guy. I make so many videos.
Hello there. Price of Reason here with a special report. Over the past week, those of you that watch my channel, other channels about pop culture, or even occasionally read entertainment news from the mainstream access media, may have seen my name pop up in a bunch of unexpected places. This is apparently because my recent movie review for Seth Rogen's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reboot, Mutant Mayhem, has caused a bit of a controversy. At first, I thought I would just ignore it and move on, but the more detractors I've seen over the past few days, whether on social media or even the access media itself, the more I felt that I wanted to address this on my channel. If nothing else, I feel like I owe this to the people who regularly support me, many of you who I interact with frequently. So without further ado, let's begin. On July 29th, I was able to watch an advanced screening of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. As I've already stated in my previous video, I grew up liking this franchise, but in my opinion, there were too many, modifications made in the new version that I personally didn't prefer. One of those modifications I had mentioned in my review was that I believed that Splinter was now presented as GB, which I thought was an unnecessary change to his character. Little did I know that this one sentence in my review would somehow turn into a big online discussion, nor did I imagine that my review would ultimately cause the movie's director to issue an official statement. Now, just so you're all aware, one of the things that makes a review based on an advanced screening difficult is that you can't immediately go back and watch the movie again to further examine something. And for me, the final scene of the movie was rather confusing, as it showed Splinter making out with a cockroach called Scumbug. While writing my review at home, I simply couldn't recall if the gender of Splinter's cockroach love interest was ever clearly revealed in the movie. You see, per the course with Hollywood these days, some of the characters in the movie, like Leatherhead, were gender swapped, but others stayed the same gender, like Bebop and Rocksteady. And historically, the Scumbug character has always been a male character in the franchise. While the cockroach mutant never speaks in this movie, based on IMDb and Paramount Studios' official marketing material, which was still posted on their social media at the time that I had written my review, Scumbug, Splinter's new spouse, was presented 100% as a male character. Before uploading my review to YouTube, I had reached out to Tom Connors of Midnight's Edge, who is highly knowledgeable about the Tmnt franchise. He too had seen an advanced screening of the movie at a different location than me. Now, to be fair, Tom had initially suspected that Scumbug was gender swapped for the movie, and now a female, but after I had showed him Paramount Studios' official marketing material stating the character was male, he himself could no longer determine Scumbug's gender with absolute certainty. At that moment in time, based on the information that I had available, I believed that this would suggest that Splinter was now an GB character. If nothing else, as I also clearly state in my initial review, it had seemed as though they made Scumbug's gender in the movie rather ambiguous, and I had even speculated in my review that the studio may have toned down Splinter's relationship late in the game in order to avoid a potential Bud Light-style backlash. After I posted my review, independent news publication Bounding Into Comics published an article mentioning what I had said about Splinter, as well as other criticisms that I had about the movie. Tom Connors himself had then spoken about the Bounding Into Comics article on a Midnight's Edge livestream. A number of other YouTubers then made videos about the article, including Yellow Flash. All of these developments then sparked a bigger online debate, and within a few hours, you had people like Keemster and Andrew Tate commenting on the Bounding Into Comics article, which had mentioned both Tom from Midnight's Edge and myself. I believe that at this point, Paramount Studios became very nervous. While they may not see independent news sources like us in a positive light, they're certainly aware of our existence, and I'm sure that in order to avoid a potential PR crisis, they quickly scrambled to address the issue. At this point, Tom Connors had discovered that Paramount was attempting to scrub their official marketing material in order to delete any evidence that Scumbug was ever considered a male character. At exactly the same time, a brand new article from Slash Film had just gone live with an official statement from the director of the movie, Jeff Rowe, claiming that Scumbug, Splinter's cockroach love interest, was actually female. According to Rowe, it was all just an innocent marketing error, which he spotted immediately when it happened, was furious about it, and that this mistake only happened one time. The only problem with Jeff Rowe's statement is that it simply didn't line up with the evidence that we had. Since there were different posters for different markets inside and outside the United States, this so-called innocent mistake was clearly made more than just one time. In addition, if Rowe had seen the erroneous posters immediately as he had claimed, and he was furious about them, then why did they remain posted on Paramount's official social media for an entire month after he got upset at them? Also, why did Jeff Rowe only feel that it was necessary to make a statement about his entire matter after my review and the snowball effect that it had ultimately caused? And if Jeff Rowe was so furious about the mistake, why didn't they just release an updated, corrected poster a month ago when he had allegedly discovered it? I mean, keep in mind that Paramount Studios is a $10 billion market cap company that has spent over $120 million producing and marketing this movie. Original posters are only released after extensive review and not just haphazardly as if these guys were managing a lemonade stand. And for my final question, why was Jeff Rowe's statement made to Slash Film, a lesser-known entertainment site that likely asks very few questions rather than a big trade publication like The Hollywood Reporter or Variety? If nothing else, the frantic and almost desperate nature in which Paramount and Rowe had responded makes me think that perhaps making Scumbug a female in the movie was likely done at the 11th hour, and therefore it wasn't 100% clear to me in the version of the movie that I saw in advance, coupled with the official marketing material. Now, one common criticism that I've received after the Flash Film article was published was that I had purposely misled people into thinking that the Scumbug character was male when in fact I knew that the character was female. And as I've responded, I absolutely didn't know. If I had known, I wouldn't have bothered to research it after I watched the movie. Since the character is a cockroach that doesn't speak, I couldn't really tell its gender one way or the other. Another comment I've seen a lot is that people went to see this movie after watching my review, and it turns out that during a noisy car chase scene, Splinter uses a pronoun that would suggest that the cockroach is female. That means that either I saw an earlier version of the movie where no pronoun was mentioned at all, or perhaps it was mentioned in my version and it simply didn't register with me while I was watching it. To be fair, between Splinter telling stories about being, best friends with a male cockroach in the past, and the overall ADHD nature of this movie's storytelling, it is entirely possible that I simply missed the pronoun for the cockroach, which totally sounds like a very 2023 kind of problem. And keep in mind that most people had watched this movie only after watching my review and reading director Jeff Rowe's statement prior to the movie. So when they actually went to see the movie, they were now laser focused on hearing the cockroach's pronoun that appears earlier in the movie. But since I watched the movie before anybody else did, until the very last minute of it, I had never even considered the movie would end with Splinter falling in love with a cockroach, male or female. So I really wasn't looking for this. In my opinion, most of these bitter detractor complainers are basically Monday morning quarterbacks that are watching the final version of a movie with a bunch of information that I didn't have available while watching it. And honestly, no matter what the gender of the cockroach, I still think that they completely destroyed Splinter's character in the movie regardless. And I also want to clarify one thing. There are movies and shows that have diversity and inclusion in them, and I have no issue with that, nor does it affect my overall critique of them. What I don't like, though, is when a classic iconic IP is repurposed by Hollywood to aggressively peddle trendy agendas at the expense of story, characters, and mythology, as we see in this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reboot. I guess what I'm saying is that I have many issues with this movie, and I stand by my criticism of it, especially since it's an existing IP and not an original one. I also want to take time to thank everybody who has been in my corner this week. Between Midnight's Edge, Bounding Into Comics, Yellow Flash, and many more who said something, it was nice to see that while I was being attacked, there were people that actually had my back. But most of all, I want to thank anybody that has tuned into this channel and left some supportive comments amongst the negative ones that I received. I genuinely appreciate you guys and look forward to bringing you more independent video reviews which you will hopefully enjoy. What did you think about director Jeff Rowe's frantic statement? Did you love it? Feel free to let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channel and also clicking on that wonderful notification bell. Thanks for watching, my friends. Thank you, and good day.
I am such an awesome guy. I make so many videos.